There is a provision buried in federal law called Section 8 of the CIA Act of 1949. No law you've read in a civics class ever mentions it, and it has existed, unchanged in its core power, since June 20, 1949, letting the Director of Central Intelligence certify that public money was spent, with no itemized receipt required by statute. That single certificate, the director's signature, nothing more, is legally defined as a sufficient voucher. Not a description of what the money bought, not a list of vendors, contracts, or purposes, just a signature. This is what people mean when they say black budget, but the phrase itself is vague on purpose. The real mechanism is precise. It's called unvouchered funds, and it means an agency can move billions of dollars through the federal government every single year, and the only proof required that the money went anywhere at all is one official's word. No underlying paperwork has to exist. No line item has to survive. By design, the trail can end at a signature. It came into being the way most invisible power does, quietly, wrapped inside something that sounded procedural. In 1949, Congress was organizing the fledgling CIA, and lawmakers were told in classified session that ordinary Treasury accounting would expose intelligence sources and compromise agents in the field. So they wrote an exception. Section 8 passed with almost no public debate, because almost no one outside a handful of committee members ever saw the language. It was never put to a national vote. Appropriations exceptions like this never are. It became law the way most permanent things become law. As a technical fix, nobody outside the room understood they were granting forever. And once granted, it did not shrink. It expanded to cover reprogramming authority across the wider intelligence community, so that money appropriated for one purpose could be quietly redirected to another, still under the same unvouchered shield. Today, the certificate authority doesn't sit with Congress, and it doesn't sit with the public. It sits with the Director of National Intelligence and the handful of agency heads under the National Intelligence Program, who decide, largely among themselves, what counts as sensitive enough to bury. The Government Accountability Office, the body meant to audit federal spending, is statutorily barred from compelling the underlying detail. Oversight exists only inside two small congressional committees, meeting in secure rooms, forbidden from repeating what they see to the people who elected them. Remember, no one voted for this. Not the original statute, not the officials who now interpret how far it reaches. Here is what it means on the ground. The National Intelligence Program budget, the aggregate figure, is now disclosed each year, a single number, because the 9/11 Commission demanded that much transparency after 2004. In 2013, leaked documents revealed the total for 1 year alone, $52.6 billion spread across 16 agencies. But that number is the entire concession. Beneath it, the line items stay sealed. A contractor can be paid to build something. A program can run for a decade. A facility can exist in a city and draw electricity, water, and construction permits, and none of it has to reconcile to a receipt the public, or most of Congress, will ever see. The two House and Senate Intelligence Committees get briefings, but members cannot bring staff, cannot take notes out of the room, and cannot disclose specifics without risking prosecution. So the people notionally checking the money are legally silenced about what they found. And here's the part that should actually worry you: it's completely legal. Nobody broke a rule to build this. There was no scandal, no leak that forced a cover-up. The secrecy isn't a failure of the system. It is the system, functioning exactly the way it was written to function in 1949 and reinforced ever since. It cannot be repealed the way ordinary programs get defunded, because repealing it would require the very oversight committees briefed under its confidentiality rules to first admit, publicly, what they've been shown in private, and admitting that is itself the offense the secrecy law was built to prevent. The mechanism protects itself by making its own disclosure the violation. Any member of Congress who tried to expose the details risks the Espionage Act. So the fix would have to come from the same body of officials, whose only public accountability is the aggregate number they already release. and calling that number sufficient is the closest thing to a check that has existed in over 75 years. If a certificate signed in private can move tens of billions of dollars every year, permanently exempt from itemized proof, then the assumption that government spending answers to the public was never universal. It was a courtesy extended everywhere except where officials decided secrecy served a greater purpose. And that decision, once made, renews itself automatically, year after year, without anyone having to decide it again. So the real question isn't how much of the black budget you're not seeing this year. It's how many other certificates, in how many other agencies, are quietly doing the same thing right now.